Hey guys, welcome back to dressyourfacelive.com. Today's class is a hair class, and I know I get a lot of requests for hair classes. We typically do one hair class a month, and sometimes there are some bonus classes which are up on the homepage. So always refresh the homepage when you're visiting just to see what's new and everything. I want you guys to meet my model, Henna. And I did a casting call. Sometimes I do that randomly, and I just pick someone who's local to come on up to the studio and be my model. So she graciously went ahead and volunteered for us. And we are gonna be doing that really beautiful, romantic curly updo. So it's the one that I just posted on Instagram today. You guys can check that out. And if you have any questions throughout class, hair related questions preferably, go ahead and ask those questions on that post on Instagram. I'll go ahead and pull it up so that you guys can see which post I'm talking about, in case you're watching the rerun of this and you're not seeing it live. But it is this post right here of the oh, there's a glare. Okay, yeah, this one right here of the 4 different angles of the curly updo that is posted today. So ask me your questions there. If you guys run out of hair questions, or if you feel like I've already answered them during class, then you can feel free to ask me any other questions about the industry or makeup or whatever, and I'll try my best to answer as many as I can after class. So just so you guys can plan ahead, this class is gonna be roughly about an hour long. It's a fairly easy hairstyle once you get the hang of it. I think that you guys can totally actually do this on yourselves and do a sexy updo with these techniques when you yourselves go out to special events, weddings, formal occasions, and things like that. It's definitely doable. I've done it on myself so many times. I did it for my own wedding. Mine wasn't as curly at my wedding. It was a little, well, yeah, it was curly, but it was a little bit more messy and bigger bun. But today we're going to use more of that texture and create a much more, almost like a Spanish feel to it. So we're gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can just see her hair. I'm gonna show you, basically this is how her hair is before. This is all natural. She has a little bit of a wave going on, but we are going to prep it before we actually style it. So I'm gonna show you all those steps. I will turn her to the side so you guys can see everything that I'm doing here. And as far as the tools that we're going to be using, I will use the Bombay Hair Tamana wand. This is found in the Tamana sets. It is the 1-inch barrel, but if you want a lot of texture, I would recommend using the smaller barrel, which is 3/4 of an inch. That one works more for like tighter curls, but in that picture that I posted, I actually just used the 1-inch barrel. And then we're also going to use Tresemme hairspray number 5. You guys already know this is the only one I ever use. And then we're also going to have our bobby pins. This is from Sally's Beauty Supply. Our gator clips. These come in the set that I have with Bombay Hair, and a rubber band. And as far as the combs and stuff, for the brushes, I really love the Layla Milani Miracle brush, this one here. And I have these 2 combs. One is the Layla Milani teasing comb, and then I have this generic one from Sally's Beauty Supply as well. I don't know why I have both, but they're both in front of me, so I just grabbed them. So we're gonna go ahead and just use the Miracle brush to brush out her hair a little bit and remove any tangles. And if you're gonna do this on your client, I like to ask, like while I'm kind of prepping the hair, because it's pretty much a lot of downtime at this point, I like to discuss with my client how much volume she wants out of this, where does she want her bun to land, does she want her bun like right up against her neck at the bottom, or does she want it somewhere in the middle or somewhere higher? That way I kind of can get an idea of her style. So at this point, we are going to begin prepping her hair by curling all of her hair first. So I'm gonna start with the nape of the neck here, this bottom section, and I'm going to twist and put aside all the rest of the hair for now. And what I'm going to do, which I normally don't do, but because I want to really show a lot of definition and curl in the hair. I'm going to lightly spray it first, very lightly, with hairspray. I normally don't like to do this, but when it's with this hairstyle, sometimes it is beneficial. And I didn't spray it very heavily, so it still feels dry on the hair. It did not dampen the hair at all. I'm now separating with my fingers. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take piece by piece and start curling. So I'm gonna take the first section here. I'm gonna start really close to the root, twist it around, hold it for a few seconds. And when I let go, I'm not gonna open it. I'm gonna leave it as a ringlet. Just like that. And see, when you spray it first, very lightly, like it was just a light cloud of spray, when you spray it first and then you leave it, it stays a little bit on the crunchy side and the defined side. And that, for this particular updo, is what I want. So I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm basically gonna do this all over. So every single section of her head is gonna end up looking like this curly Sue piece right up here. And we're basically just gonna keep doing this over and over. One of the things that I like to do during classes like this, where it's just kind of repeat movements over and over, just so that you're not wasting time, and we're not wasting your time, we can actually go ahead and start answering questions while I'm doing this, since you guys pretty much know this is the same step over and over. One of the questions I get a lot is, how much hair do you section for each curl? I like to do about a square inch. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Square inch is usually good. You can't really go wrong with that. If you have a little bit thinner hair, you can take a larger section because the hair is thinner and it'll still work. If you have super, super thick and dense hair, then take thinner sections so that the heat can actually get through to every hair shaft and curl nicely. Look how nice it is so far. Ooh. Also, be careful when your client's back is exposed. You don't want to let go of the hair right away on top of the skin, because the hair is so hot. So I'm just gonna let it air first a little bit and then kind of let it go down, just so I'm not like burning her or anything. I'm just gonna keep working my way over. So you guys, whoever's watching live right now, go ahead and ask me your questions on my latest Instagram post, which is that 4 square hair updo picture. And I'll go ahead and maybe I'll have Henna go through the questions and ask them to me for you guys, and then I can answer as I go along. I'll just finish up this bottom section first, and then we can get started with those Q&As. So I'm just gonna kind of cool it down a little bit and just let it sit. Almost done with the nape. If your curls are not coming out crisp enough, you can add a little extra hairspray before curling the next piece to see if that helps. Usually it will. I'm just gonna wait until I feel like the heat has passed through all the pieces. Bounce, cool it off, no one gets burnt. You can blow on it if you wish. And last section. And while you're curling, I'm kind of just like twisting as I go around. I am not ribboning the hair. I've shown this in several other classes too, so just keep in mind when you're curling the hair, you're kind of twisting and curling at the same time, so you can create more of a bounce in your hair. And then once you're done with one entire row, you're going to spray the entire row really well. And then I just kind of spring it up like an accordion, and I let that go, and I'm ready for the next section. So I'm just gonna go ahead and section off the next section that we can use. Basically from ear to ear, you wanna make sure that you're getting enough hair. Just gonna get a little bit more from this side. All right, I think we're good here. And make sure that hair doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so Henna, I'm gonna give you my phone and then you can see if we have any questions. Let me check so far. Okay, so the questions are gonna start like right towards the end right here, like that one. Okay. But I remember I got a couple questions in the beginning, which I'll go ahead and answer now, and then we can have you ask some questions. Let's see. Okay, so Marzesti_hairdos and simplyelegant.byk both were asking about flyaways and frizzy hair and stuff. So I'll go ahead and talk about that for a second, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the other things, and you could just kind of keep refreshing to find other questions. So to answer those first few questions that were asked earlier today that I didn't get a chance to answer on Instagram, when it comes to frizzy hair, first of all, I'm not a big product person. As you can see, I put absolutely no product in Henna's hair at all. It's just her natural hair. And using the right tools, especially with the wand that I created with Bombay Hair, it's made of tourmaline, and so it actually seals the cuticle of the hair really nicely. It creates a lot of shine and bounce, and it really does combat frizz. So that's one thing that really helps, is just having the right tools. Another thing that helps is after you've done an updo, like let's say we smooth this part of the updo and you see like frizzes, pieces flying away, you can actually spray that part of the updo and then use the wand to just slide over it, and it literally sticks down, and then all those little pieces of hair that are flying around get stuck to the updo. So those are some like little secrets. That's a little secret that I do if I really feel like it's just not smooth enough. And then another thing is this trick that I'm doing right now, starting with a little bit of hairspray all over and then curling the hair so it's just a little bit more crisp and more defined. And sometimes that helps as well. So try those things. If those things don't work, I mean, the reason why I have an entire set of tools instead of having them separately is because you can always use the tools together. So let's say Henna's hair is like super frizzy or something. I can use my straightener to smooth out the frizzy part first, and then go in with my wand and curl everything perfectly. And then you have literally the most perfect curls. But one thing that I noticed about my set with Bombay Hair is that you do not have to do that. Using the wand by itself will eliminate the frizz pretty nicely. So hopefully that helps to answer your question. As far as like blow dries, then in that case, there are mousses and things that you can use previous to actually blow drying your hair. So while your hair is damp, you can put on a mousse or something that controls frizz, and then blow dry your hair. But I'm not a blow dryer. Like, I don't even offer that service. I work on dry hair because I know how to work with even really frizzy hair without having to blow dry it. Okay, let's see if there's any questions in there.
Would Samira Faria said, would this be the same process with hair extensions as well?
Okay, Samira Faria is asking if this is going to be the same process with extensions as well. And yes, absolutely. When you're wearing hair extensions, you can, as long as it's 100% human hair, you're going to be able to do all this stuff with that as well. Normally what I do is, let's say like I just finished this bottom section, right under here, I would go ahead and clip in the extensions and start curling the extensions, and then I would bring in this other piece and start curling this. So I'd actually start clipping the extensions during the process if the hair was all down. If you're doing an updo, I like to curl the extensions separately, like before we even get started. Sometimes I'll go ahead and curl the extensions, let them cool down in a pile next to me, and then after I'm done with curling all her hair and gathering it up, any areas that I want to add those extensions in, I can literally just pop them in and they're already curled for me. So for updos, I do not put the extensions right away. I do it like kind of towards the end, only in the areas that I really need the extensions. And then if you're doing a downdo, then go ahead and include the extensions in the entire process of prepping. Any other questions?
Yeah, so Beauty by Some Rain said, please tell me how to do an upstyle with sleeker, shiny, finished look. Is there any product we can use for prep instead of hairspray?
For sleeker, shiny updo look, which I do have on the All Access Pass, I have a sleek bridal updo bun. Again, I only use hairspray. Literally, like no matter what updo I'm doing on a client, I almost never use any other product except for this exact hairspray that I'm showing you today. And then you can always use that trick that I was showing you up here on the crown, where if you if you're doing like a smooth look and you see some little hairs kind of popping out, spray that area with hairspray and then put a curling wand, like slide it over like this, and it literally is like an iron. Like it'll iron it down so that you don't have those little hairs sticking up. It's really cool. Okay, go ahead, and next one.
No questions yet.
Oh, perfect, okay. So go ahead and keep asking questions. If you don't have any like other hair questions right now, you can feel free to ask makeup questions or anything else. We'll check back in a couple of minutes to see if there's any other questions. I know you guys are used to waiting till the end of class to ask your questions because I'm still kind of explaining things and it's kind of hard to ask the question if you don't know what's next. So I'm just still doing the same old thing. What I'm gonna do for this section here to show you is I'm gonna do it in slow motion. So you know how I was saying do not ribbon the hair and I want you to twist it instead? What I mean by twisting it is I don't mean like twist the hair and then curl it. I mean grab the hair, put the curling wand under it, and don't let go of your position. So thumb is gonna always be up. Thumb is always gonna be above. And I'm just kind of twisting the hair as I'm going up. And now I can just kind of focus on the ends, no big deal. And I'm going to release in a couple seconds. But basically, I'll show you the difference. Like this is that full-on way that I'm trying to show you today. If you were to ribbon it instead, I'll show you how that looks like. Ribboning it means you're putting this under and you're not twisting it, you're letting the hair be flat and you're ribboning it as if this is a regular curling iron. And see how I have to let go of the hair and move my hand to ribbon it? So that's ribboning. The difference is in the curl. I'll show you now when I let go. I'm going to show you the difference now between a ribbon curl and the wand curl that I do. Okay, so here's the difference. A ribbon curl literally looks like a ribbon, and the wand curl, because it twisted as it was wrapping, is going to be like a coil. This is what I'm looking for when it comes to this type of hairstyle, because it's going to retain the texture better. A ribboned hair like this is still going to retain a nice curl, but it's going to look like a traditional curl. It's not going to end up as a Hollywood wave as much. It's going to be a little bit harder to keep it. And it's going to end up looking a lot smoother and less texturized for this type of updo. Now this updo is a textured bridal bun updo, so it's got to look a little wavy and messy, and doing a curl like this is not going to give you that. It's going to look very, very odd. So this is what you want to do for that. So I'm going to brush this out and we're going to do it again so you can see what I'm looking for. So twisting as I'm wrapping. Twist, it just naturally twists while I'm wrapping because I'm not letting go with my hand. And we're gonna let this sit a little bit longer because it's already been curled once, so it needs to forget about that curl and do a whole new curl for us. So we have to wait a little bit longer. And now, ta-da, we get that coil curl. So that's what I'm looking for in this updo for you guys. And we're gonna do 2 more pieces here. So the thing about this updo and most curly updos is that the prepping takes longer than the actual gathering and the creation of the updo itself. So when you are doing this hairstyle, even though it is pretty easy, it's not like a difficult high-level hairstyle in my opinion, you still have to account for all the time it needs for prepping. So if you're booking a client and she says, oh, I just want to like a curly updo, something loose and romantic, you know, technically it shouldn't take as much time as a very, very Bollywood clean bun, but you have to keep in mind all this prep work. So I still book the same amount of time, whether my clients want this look or a Hollywood wave or a full-on updo. I book the same amount of time for them, which is roughly about an hour and a half. I like to have an hour and a half in front of me when it comes to makeup or hair, just in case of any delays. But if I'm not filming it, makeup will take about an hour. Hair, you know, depending on how much hair they have, can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. So this is what it should look like now. See, every single curl is separated. Nothing's bunched up. Nothing looks soft. It just has a nice crisp look to it, and I'm just gonna give it a nice spray everywhere. We're gonna coil it, make sure it does not open, looking very, very good and bouncy. And we will be continuing on to the next section. We just have a few more sections to go. I know this is gonna be very redundant. If you guys don't really care about the Q&A, you guys can just, if you're watching this not live, if you're watching the recording of this class, you can just fast forward if you get bored of these. It's just redundant over and over again. But since it's live, you kind of have to watch it. Or you can participate in the Q&A. So let's see if we have any other questions. Oh, Renata? No, it's okay, it's okay. So there's a lot of questions regarding the echo. What is one of the ways that the girls can fix it? Because someone was saying that they did fix their echo somehow. Is it they have to log out? Okay. So if you guys are experiencing a weird echo, it could be the delay in the satellite bouncing or something. So you want to log out of justyourfacelive.com and then log back in. And that should significantly help. Other than that, you guys can watch the recording afterward because I have 2 mics here. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so try also turning off all the Wi-Fi on your devices so that you literally only have the class playing on the Wi-Fi instead of anything else that's on that Wi-Fi. So don't share your Wi-Fi with a bunch of other devices right now. Let this streaming class be the only thing that's using your Wi-Fi. The thing is, this class is shot in like super HD and we stream it high speed. So we want you to see all the detail and get the best experience ever. So if anything is slowing down your experience, you wanna kick all those devices off. Only watch this class on the Wi-Fi as long as you have high-speed Wi-Fi. And also, if you are experiencing any echoes ever during the course of your time here on DYFL, log out and then log back in and you'll be able to see a pretty significant difference. asking, so my hair is dead straight and curls tend to fall straight. How can I help keep my curls in? Hairspray tends to make them drop. Thank you. Okay, so exactly what I'm doing today in class, try these steps. I know that a lot of my clients who have very limp, dead, straight hair have said, no, I don't want too much hairspray, it weighs my hair down. But I'm gonna be very brutally honest with you. The hair is not gonna last if you don't have something holding it up. So the first thing is the way you're curling needs to be super bouncy. So stick that hair up, put the wand underneath, and curl really tight and keep that curl on for several seconds so that you can really get it to lock up. It also helps to spray the hair before, just like we've been doing. I'll go ahead and spray the rest of the hair. And then also when you release the curl, don't drop it yet. Cool it down so that the curl can actually lock into place. Otherwise it gets too loose. So we're gonna cool it down in our hand, let this curl lock right into place. We're going to spray it so it does not open. This is just ways to keep your curl from falling. This isn't something I do for everyone all the time, but for someone who tells me, oh, my curls never last, these are the extra ways that you can have that precaution. So have those curls. Okay, so now that it's cooled down and sprayed, I can let it go and you can see how bouncy it is. There's like no way in hell that this thing is gonna come down unless I physically brush it out. And believe me, the hairspray, although it is a number 5 and it's the strongest hold, the way we're spraying it is in the air. We're giving it a nice cloud. I'm not going so close to it. I'm not drenching the hair, so it's not gonna weigh down the hair. So number 1, the way you're curling it. Number 2, cooling it down before you let it go. And number 3, spraying it like it's just in the air, not so close to the hair so it doesn't drench it. So that should work for you. I would be highly shocked if that did not work for you, if you were doing it exactly the way I'm doing it. Let's see what else. There's some makeup questions. Okay, yeah, a lot of questions about the sound. Log in and log out. I'm sorry, log out and then log back in. Okay, let's answer some of these makeup questions then. So let's see. Okay, so Marcuaqua? Is that how you say it? Mariana. Okay, so unrelated to the hair tutorial, but what do you do when a client has tattooed eyebrows? So actually, I do have a plan to do, I don't know if you guys saw my bride from a few days ago, last weekend. She had tattooed eyebrows and it was pretty dark in the inner corner, which I hate. Like, I don't like it so dark in the beginnings. I like it ombre. That's just a personal preference. But she had darker brows. So what I did was, when I put foundation on her and concealer on her, I let it kind of cover those beginnings of her brows. And then I use a much lighter brow pencil and brow powder on those areas to create that ombre effect. So it's definitely doable with tattooed brows. Just use a full coverage concealer on areas that you really want to cover up, and make sure you're setting it with enough powder too so that it doesn't just slide right off. And then you can color it whatever color you want to color it. And I think, is that pretty much it? Okay, I think we got most of the questions. There was one question, I can't find it now, but I noticed someone had asked about what do you do when your makeup slides off your nose, when it's like really humid or sweaty or something and the makeup comes off the nose. Usually for me, that means that I didn't set it with enough powder. So I go in with an extra fortifying layer of MAC Studio Fix powder on the areas that tend to break apart. So on top of the nose, around the mouth sometimes, and the laugh lines, I make sure I put a little extra powder there just to absorb any of the oils that tend to break up the makeup. Also, someone had asked earlier, and I did answer it on Instagram, but I want to answer it here too. A lot of you had questions about creasing under the eyes and creasing on the laugh lines. Even when you are using the steps that I do in my tutorial, sometimes you notice some creasing in the laugh lines. And that's something that's, I mean, there's ways to try to help it. It's never going to be 100% avoidable if you're laughing and smiling, and I wouldn't ever ask you to stop laughing and smiling. You want to look happy, you want to, you know, enjoy your days. So as your skin is bending and folding like that, it's going to move the makeup eventually. But one of the things that I've noticed when using a specific product there, it tended to help a lot better. So that product is from Urban Decay. It's their primer potion, which is actually an eyeshadow primer, which I'm not a huge fan of. I love Urban Decay in general, but I don't love their primer potion for eyeshadow. But I've used it in the laugh line, and I've used it underneath the eye, the lower eye line where it creases, like where your concealer creases under your eyes. I've used it there too, underneath makeup. So I've done it like, you know, in lieu of primer in those areas. And it actually really helps a great amount. So you'll notice less creasing throughout the day if you try that little trick. Again, that's the Urban Decay primer potion. It's an eyeshadow primer. It's colorless, like it has a very, very sheer tone to it, so it doesn't really show up. And it works really great for laugh lines and for under eye creases so that they just don't crease as much throughout the day. So try that and then follow up with all of the techniques that I teach in my makeup classes. I did notice someone else asking how many hair classes do I normally do on DYFL. I normally try to teach at least one updo or one downdo every month. And I do have a bunch of hair updo classes and downdo classes available on the All Access Pass. A bunch of them are bridal updos, a lot of buns, high buns, low buns, clean and classic buns, messy romantic buns, all sorts. There's also a side ponytail with big curls. There's also a lot of braiding classes, fishtail braid, loose Princess Jasmine inspired braids, you know, things like that. There's lots of classes using extensions, how to style extensions, and I will also be doing, I've already done Hollywood Waves class a couple times, and how to style bangs with the S-Wave. And I also have a class for thin hair, people with thin hair, how to create loads of thickness on the hair by teasing and doing all those things too. So those are all available on the All Access Pass. But next month, hopefully, I'm thinking either end of October or maybe even early November, I'm planning on doing a 3-part class. I don't know if you guys saw my photo shoot Snapchats with my model Rosa from Europe. But I did like 3 different hair looks on her. I started off with a very fluffy, poofy, volumized, curly head. And then I brushed it out to create a sleek, classic Hollywood wave. And then after that, I wrapped it up on her neck to create a faux bob. So it ended up looking like she cut her hair at the end. It was very vintagey, very beautiful. So I want to do all 3 of those in one back-to-back class. It's a 3-in-1 class, so you guys can see how easy it is to switch between the hairstyles once you do the initial curling. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be pretty epic. It's going to be gorgeous. So I highly recommend you hang out for that class, most likely in October or November. Anything?
Makeup by Dizyak said, I'm noticing you're curling in one direction. Is that the best way for this style of updo? Especially.
Oh, good question. Okay, so the question was, in case you didn't hear it, I'm curling all in one direction. Is that necessary for this hairstyle? For even more messy texture, you can curl in opposite directions. So alternating one way and then the other way, just flipping it back and forth will create even more texture and more of that messy separation. In this case, it's one of those things that's up to you. I'm very familiar with how to retain texture even if all the curls are following the same direction, which is why I sprayed them first and then let them go to keep its own like coils like this. But here's another cool thing. If we were to brush this out, because all of this is in one direction, if we were to brush this out, this would turn into a Hollywood wave and it would be bomb.com. It would be so amazing. So a lot of my brides that go from an updo to a downdo for a wedding versus reception, I'll make sure that I've curled all the hair in one direction so that when we take it down later and I brush it out, it automatically just turns into a Hollywood wave and I only have to like touch up a few pieces on the top. So that's one of the things that I'm just used to doing, so I normally just do everything in one direction. But like I said, if you want it to be even more texturized and even more romantic and even more messy, then alternate directions with every single curl you do. Did we get most of them? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right, if you guys have any questions, if you guys are just logging in now, you can go ahead and ask me those questions on my latest post on Instagram. And Henna here is refreshing my page just to make sure we're not skipping anybody and we can answer all these questions as we go along. Pretty, pretty. So far, really fun. I'm gonna make sure I'm just getting all these curls. All right. Almost finishing up. We're at the top sections now, so we're just gonna, first, before I even do the top section, I'm gonna make sure that she's okay with the part. So I'm gonna, I've already asked her which way her hair parts and I can see it already, it wants to part this way. So this is how we're gonna part her hair, but I'm just gonna kind of face her towards the camera so I can see, you know, how deep I wanna go. Now, I don't wanna go super, super deep with it. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at this point, maybe a little bit less. I'll leave it at this. And if she was my bride, she'd be looking into the mirror right now and I'd ask her, okay, are you comfortable with this, you know, side and blah, blah, blah. And then once I get her approval, I can go ahead and really start creating really fun curls. So now that I've parted it in the right way, I can now section away her very, very top crown area because that's way too much hair to put into one curl. So I'm gonna put this aside. And we will deal with that part afterward. So I'll start here and we will be finishing up with the prep work soon. This part is pretty tedious, so you have to have patience. If you're gonna be a hairdresser, or if you're gonna do your own hair or whatever, be patient. Oh, you know what? Let me spray a little extra here because with baby hairs and flyaways in the front, I like to make sure it's really sleek. So I do a little extra spraying on the front areas where there's little baby hairs. All right, now I'm gonna just finger through, make sure nothing is wet because I do not wanna drench the hair. That's not the point of this. Okay, now I can go in and create some really crunchy curls. And we're gonna hold it for a couple seconds, make sure it really gets hot, and then we're gonna continue throughout. And then before I actually start putting her hair up, I'll have you take a good look of how the whole hair looks like in case you wanna take a screenshot so you can compare it to how yours ends up. It should look very coily, like Medusa, like it's gotta look crazy curly. And the coolest part is because we're over directing the hair, like we're sticking it up and curling it, we're creating a lot of volume on the root of the hair. So we don't even really have to tease that much in this hairstyle. I do very minimal teasing, sometimes no teasing when I'm doing hairstyles like this. So you stick the hair up, you put the wand under, and you wrap, and that way the hair has a lift. So you just really don't have to tease if you don't want to. And we're just gonna follow all the way around as normal. This hairstyle can be done on someone with shorter hair as well. You do not need long hair to complete this hairstyle. In fact, I've done it on girls with shorter hair, and it actually was a little easier to do because with long hair, you have to wrap the hair a few times into the bun. But with shorter hair, you can just drape it right over a fake bun and it ends up looking exactly the same, and half of your work is, you know, not even needed. Do you see any new questions pop up?
No.
Okay. So just keep curling and coiling, making sure you're sticking the hair straight up. These parts are what's going to show on the top of the head, especially this last section that I'm going to do after this piece, after these pieces. That's the part that's really going to show on the crown of our head. So we have to be very, very perfect in those sections. We can't let anything look frizzy or crazy.
Leniza T-Beck said, what are the best products used for people who have flat, fine, oily hair when curling?
Okay, Leniza. So best products for really flat hair. Again, well, here's another tip. I'm not a huge fan of blow drying, so I don't really ever do this. But for my clients that say they have very, very flat, frizzy hair, or not frizzy even, but like just flat and limp, when they want to come in for a special style, but they're worried about not having any volume, they usually have asked me, you know, can I get a blowout beforehand? I don't offer blowouts, so they usually just see their regular person for that. And one thing that they do during blowouts, and one thing that I've had done for myself too, because I have very flat hair, I tease it almost every day, and I wave it so it looks nice and full, but it's very flat and very thin. So when I've had blowouts, the hairdressers always tell me, oh, okay, I'm gonna put some mousse in your hair. It's a volumizing mousse at the roots, and then they blow dry the hair with a big round brush upward so that it creates a lot of root volume. And that way it's a little bit more weightless so that you can actually have that bounce in your hair. Now, if you're doing an updo and things like that, it's not really necessary to have a full-on blowout. So when my clients are booking me for an updo, or even a downdo, to be honest, I know how to, I give a lot of volume with my teasing. I'm kind of like a master teaser. But if you're not good with teasing and things like that, I would suggest going with the mousse when you're blow drying your hair and using a big round brush to create some volume at the roots, some lift at the roots. And if you can't do it yourself, I would do a weekly blowout or a bi-weekly blowout just to make sure you can get a little bit of that volume in between your stuff. But like I was saying, if you're going in for an updo, I wouldn't say that that's even really necessary, because during an updo, you usually have to tease the hair, curl the hair, and do all that stuff, and that creates a nice amount of volume already. So that is usually what I do. As far as like actual names of products, I'm not very familiar with a lot of products, to be honest, because I'm not a product person. I don't like hair products very much. So you're gonna have to kind of try different things and see what works for your hair type. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and spray all of this. Look how fun that looks, it's so wild. All right, final sections. So this hair is gonna go back, and this hair is gonna be up front. And I'm going to save this last piece for later. All right, we're gonna spray everywhere so that it sticks really nicely. I want a lot of definition here. Make sure it's not wet, so I'm just kind of giving it a feel. And we'll start right up in the front. And start our curling. Sometimes if you're not happy with the bang, you can always go back in with your straightener. That's why I always turn on my straightener when I turn on my wand, just in case I need to change the direction of any of the hair. And you can make any tweaks you want to make to the front or the top. Okay. We're gonna let this cool down a little bit, sitting right on top of the hair. I'm gonna split this section into two because it ended up looking a little thick. I want it to be perfect. These are the parts that are really gonna show. This is where your arms will get tired because you're going pretty high on the head. And we're just gonna truck right through this. What's really cool is after I do this updo on her, when she takes it down, her hair is gonna be so pretty when she brushes it out. It's gonna look like a Hollywood wave. It'll look so gorgeous, and she'll be able to wear that hairstyle for the next 2 days because it will last.
Another question.
Okay.
So Makeup by Asmari said, will this hairstyle be strong enough to hold heavy veils, or do you need to use stuffings?
Okay, Makeup by Asmari is saying for heavy veils, like, you know, Indian weddings, how they wear the heavy embroidered dupattas on top of the head. Is this hairstyle strong enough for that? You have to, if it's a heavy dupatta, you have to have a stuffer in the head. Otherwise, it's all gonna smash down. Hair is only hair. It's not plastic, it's not concrete. It is going to smash even if you tease to the gods, if it's a heavy veil. If it's a lightweight veil, then you can totally get away with, you know, not having to use a stuffer. But for this hairstyle, because we are relying on the curls to do the bouncing rather than too much teasing, you absolutely have to have a stuffer to keep it from looking smashed. They have stuffers like at Sally's Beauty Supply, even at H&M by the register. They have those mesh chignons, like the it's like donuts. It's like a mesh donut. I always buy the biggest size they have, and that way, in case I just need a little bit, I can cut it into sections and stick it in my clients as needed. And then they also like certain websites, I guess, have a like one made out of hair, and you can actually do this yourself. You can like go to a hair shop, buy loose hair, like not on a track. It's like just loose hair. It's like weave hair. And then you get a hairnet and you stuff the hairnet with that loose hair and you wrap it up into a ball. And that makes a really, really easy to use, cool bun stuffer. but again, because it's made up of hair, it's not very strong. It's gonna create a lot of volume, but it's not gonna be smash proof. So the mesh ones at the store are more smash proof. And we're just gonna finish up this last section here before we move on to the top. It's so funny, most of this class is really just about curling. Okay, we'll do these top pieces. Usually when I'm working with a bride and I'm doing these parts, this is where we're like chatting about all sorts of stuff. Literally, my brides and I share our life stories together because we spend so much time together doing the same thing over and over again. And I don't want them like getting bored, and I like my time to pass nice and fast. So we talk about honeymoons, we talk about our favorite places, favorite foods, how they met their husbands. I ask them about their wedding themes, about their families. Like, we just go in on conversations. It's insane. It's so funny. We end up having like a full-on therapy session sometimes. You know, mother-in-law problems, all those lovely things. Okay, final section. And then I'll show you how I actually gather all the hair. Alrighty, we're gonna do a little spraying. And waving. I'm going to make sure these top pieces are very, very tightly curled. I don't want anything looking loose or not as defined as the rest. So make sure you take your time. I know it's like very tempting to like rush the last pieces, but you definitely don't want to rush it. Okay, last piece. Yay, we survived. Now we spray. Final spray. Well, not final. We still are gonna spray the updo itself, but this is the final prep spray. See how crazy bouncy and high her hair is? This is like straight out of a 90s music video. Crazy. Yeah. This is insane looking. Yes, I know. Fully aware. Okay, so at this point, we're going to only tease a little bit of the crown section. Why are we even teasing at all? Well, it's because I can see little bits of her scalp. Go ahead and look up to the ceiling. If you can see little bits of her scalp in between these curls. So I definitely want those hidden, but I don't really care to add so much volume because we already did with the curls. So all I'm gonna do at this point is go in and kind of tease very lightly the bases of these curls, and I'm spraying them. And I'm just gonna spread them out so that they hide the little brickwork patches that we did. So I'm just kind of teasing a little bit, spraying, and we're gonna spread out to hide those pieces. Any areas that I see that need a little extra help, I'm just gonna go right in and tease. But keep in mind, I'm not teasing everything. See already how this part's nicely hidden. I'm gonna do the same on these sides. This one's already done. We're just gonna do a little bit here. All right. Looking nice. So now I'm just gonna use my fingers to kind of move the hair in the direction that I really want it to go. I'm kind of separating a little bit. As I'm moving the hair where I want it to stay, I can spray it so that it doesn't move anywhere else. All this hair is gonna kind of move back. And this is where we get started with the actual updo pinning. This is the part that does not take that long, and you could totally do this at home. So I'm gonna turn her around so you can see where I'm sectioning. This whole section on the top, keeping in mind I'm leaving the sides out of it. I'm literally like, I don't even care about the sides right now. Like, that's all out of it. So I'm grabbing basically this whole like upper half of the hair, except for the sides, the bang sides. And I'm going to twist it up and pin it away for a second. Now I'm going to grab all this hair right here into a ponytail, and I'm going to apply a rubber band. I'm going to fasten it. If the hair is too silky or too much flyaways or anything like that, go ahead and give it some more hairspray. But I do like a little bit because to me it looks more romantic that way. So now that's what's happening there. Now we're going to fluff tease the base of this ponytail. So just the base part. I'm fluffing it so it kind of almost like turns into a big old mesh bun. So I'm making my own little mesh stuffer for her, just like this. Now, if somebody's hair was really short, instead of doing this, because we don't have enough hair, their hair would end right here, we could tease it into a ball and then put some of this over it. But in case you can't do that, you can literally put a mesh donut around this and then put their own hair over it so it looks like all that is their own hair. Now I'm grabbing I was gonna say a Q-tip. What is this? A bobby pin. And just so that it doesn't look too messy, I am gonna spray it a little bit. Gather it, and I'm going to twist it into a bun. Okay, so I've twisted it. I'm going to fasten it at the base on both sides so that it does not fall down. Notice how the ends of the bun are out. Leave it out because we can use that. Okay, so now I have this like bun thing that I've made, pretty messy. And now I can use the ends to kind of just drag in front of it. And this is just the beginning of our building process. So we are building a bun out of all the messy curls that we've created. All right, so now we have this kind of little stuffer that we can work with. I'm just gonna make sure the hair is in place so it doesn't move around too much, but I'll give you a little bit of a side view. It should look kind of messy, whatever, you know, something like that. No big deal. Pieces coming down is fine. We're gonna deal with that in a minute. Okay, so now we have all this hair. And I'm gathering it with my nails, with my fingers. We've already done a little teasing, so no more scalp shows. And we have a little bit of that texture. So I'm not using a brush. I'm not using a brush to smooth it because I want to keep these waves. I want to keep this texture, which is why we curled the hair so crazily in the first place. Now, I'm going to do a little twist right at the base, and we're going to fasten it. So we twist the base of this top so that we're creating a little bit of a helmet on the top, a little bit of this height, and we use bobby pins to make sure that it does not open. So go ahead and put bobby pins all the way across. And this hair is basically going to cover that messy bun that we made underneath. Okay? And now if the girl wants a little bit more volume on the top, you can give it to her by pulling pieces up and making it, you know, more loose or more messy or however you want to do it. There's no major rules, and every time I do this it looks a little bit different because it really depends on their own hair curl and their own head shape. So now I'm just going to spray everything, make sure it looks nice and smooth. If I see any really crazy pieces that are sticking out, I'm using my wand to smooth over it, and basically the little pieces that are floating everywhere after I spray it will be stuck to her hair and you won't be able to see it in pictures. So this kind of helps to create a smoother look, which is one of the things I was answering in the beginning of class, how to hide major flaws there. So now I'm going to show you how this looks on the side. So this is what it looks like on the side, and I want to make sure that nothing looks super awkward. So if there's any pieces that look so awkward and weird, I'm just going to take care of it right away. But right now I think we're okay. It's still pretty early on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this hair here and I'm going to flip it up. Do you see my hand? So I'm going to make it stick to the top instead of letting it go down, because what's happening here is I can see all these bobby pins right here. You can see the bobby pins right there, so I want this hair to be above it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this all up, and I'm now going to bobby pin this upside down to stick up, and it basically crosses with the previous bobby pins, so it holds really well. I'm going to have to do multiple because there's a lot of hair in that section. So I'm going to put multiple bobby pins all the way across, and that will create a waterfall shape. This is going to waterfall the hair over this bun that we made so that it looks more full. Okay, so now when we release, all you see is this beautiful cascade of curls, and you don't see any bobby pins at all. So at this point, I just gather all this hair and bobby pin it into a bun, and it's so easy. It takes a few minutes. It's not that serious. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is a messy updo. And I'm just going to take piece by piece here and just kind of attach it to the bun. Wherever you feel needs a little attachment, that's where I'm going to stick it right in. So I'm going in, grabbing pieces, sticking it in the updo. If you want little tendrils to stay coming down, that's fine. It'll look even more romantic. I'm in love with how romantic and beautiful this style is. So I'm just kind of going in and finding pieces to play with. If I want to spread it out or anything, we can spread it out. If pieces are sticking out that we're not happy with, just stick them right back in, no big deal. I think at this point I'm going to leave these loose because I think it looks so cute on her having it a little bit more loose. She's young. Let this hairstyle look more playful. I don't want it to age her. Okay, cool. So now that the bun piece is done, we can now focus on the front. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna leave a few pieces forward, like in the picture, just like that. And we can separate them and do other things if we wish. But I think I'm just gonna leave these pieces, and then we're gonna use the rest to curl up into the bun. We're gonna pin it right into it. And there we go. Looks so cute and classy. And then if we feel like it's just too much coming on the side, you can actually spray it back a little bit and spray it upside down and kind of scrunch it so that it doesn't hang down too low. So now you can see the front, how it's just, you know, a few little curls kind of coming in the front like that. Now we can kind of play with this side. And I usually like to take most of the hair up into the bun. And if I feel the need to keep a few pieces in the front, then I will. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that because in the picture, that's what we did with my bride. So I just kind of randomly gather pieces to like hang down. And I do like an asymmetrical look. I don't necessarily want it to look exactly the same on both sides. So in this side, we have it a little bit longer, a little bit thicker. On that side, it's really just a soft tendril that's kind of coming down. I'm gonna go ahead and pin this into her hair. And stick it in the bun there. So, so cute. I mean, we could even do more here if we wanted, but that's completely up to you and your bride if you really want to go far with it. But this is looking so adorable. If you want it to look even fuller, then just separate the curls like that so it just looks like more hair. And then the last thing is spray, 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 get rid of those little baby hairs and cover up with a swoop from your curls. Scrunch this up so it looks nice and uniform. You could do a little separation if you wish to make it look more volumized. And now I'm gonna give you a 360 view of how super awesome and easy this hairstyle was. So I'm just gonna turn her around and get rid of some of these little hairs that fell. Okay, here we go. So pretty. There's a side view. Imagine big, beautiful Indian earrings right here, and it just peeks through those little tendrils of hair that are coming down. It just looks so gorgeous. I love it. And for those of you who don't want so much framing your face, this hairstyle can also be done, of course, all back, and just little bits of pieces kind of coming behind your ear. So that's another option. If you just want a few pieces just coming behind your ear, you could do that too. It looks a little bit cleaner, especially for those of you who are not wearing big Indian earrings. If you're just wearing little studs like this and you want them to show, just clip a little bit more behind your ear. But you know, when you're wearing big earrings, they'll definitely show through all this hair. So that's it. That's how you do this hairstyle. Wasn't it easy?
Super fast.
Do you think you could totally do this at home?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think it's more about the patience with all that curling, because the curling does take forever, but gathering it up, like even if it's messy,
Super fast.
super fast, takes like 5 to 10 minutes to actually gather everything up, but like The curling, yeah, I can imagine it's going to be a little annoying, especially when you're doing it on yourself. Your hands will get so tired, your arms will get tired, but hey, if you take a few breaks in there, I had to take like 3 breaks on my wedding because I had to curl my hair like this, but imagine it was a smaller curling wand. So it took me longer, like probably 1.5 times longer.
Wow.
Well, more than that because I was doing it on myself. So, and then on top of that, I needed breaks because my hands were getting so tired being up, and I was just a complete bridezilla, totally stressed. I looked like hell. And I didn't even have, like, I forgot to put my veil on before I left for the limo. So as I was getting out, I came back and grabbed my veil and stuck my veil in as I was running to the limo. So I didn't know how my hair looked in the back. I'm just like thanking God that I didn't look like a total freak. But that was my wedding day. So I'm happy to do this style for others because at least I have more control. And I can just kind of do it that way. Like, this is what I wanted on my wedding, and it ended up kind of, you know, a little bit more messy, but whatever. Not bad. You can totally do this at home. So I'm just gonna take a look at my phone just to make sure I'm not forgetting any final questions. We did the whole Q&A during the process. So for those of you who are now watching, Q&A was pretty much already done during the process, but let me just make sure I don't have anything, any major questions right now. So we did that one. A lot of personal questions, so I'll answer those on Snapchat sometime. A lot of questions about what to charge. Those of you who are in the industry and wanting to start, you know, charging people and doing weddings, my biggest advice is to find out what others are charging in your area, because it's not just like the pricing is not just talent based, it's location based. So what people will charge in Alabama is not the same as someone will charge in Chicago. You know, every place is a little bit different and depends on your location. So, you know, what you want to do is check out the areas around you, find out what they're charging, gauge your work based on their work too. If you have less experience and you feel like you have a lot more improvement, then lower your pricing a little bit below their pricing. If you feel like you're more advanced than them, go ahead and raise it just a little bit or keep it the same so that you can earn some more clientele. But don't go too off of their range, you know. And if you're in an area like in the Bay Area in San Francisco, the range is so wild. There are some really low end pricing, and then there's some really high expensive pricing. In that case, you can just basically charge what you want, what you feel comfortable with, what you think is fair to you. But try again to gauge it based on where you lie on the experience level and on the demand level. The more you're in demand, of course, the more you can charge. I'm still charging a very basic rate, not because I'm not in demand. I'm constantly in demand, but it's because I like to do it for a passion. And now that I have such a huge audience, I have a lot of people that are from all walks of life, and not all my clients are filthy rich. And it's not like I will people are like cracking up right now. No, not all my clients are filthy rich, so it's not like I can just sit there and raise the price for, you know, my rich girls and then lower my price for my not so rich girls. I keep it the same for everyone to keep it really fair. So my wealthy clients are like, wow, that's a steal. And then the ones that are, you know, not really planning on spending that kind of money may pass me up or may use me for a bigger event. So maybe if they were trying to get me for their henna night, they might save me for their wedding instead. So I keep myself kind of in the medium range, even though I know that I have the demand. I know that people will spend extra money on it. But again, like I said, I do it for the passion. I'm not doing it for the money. You know, my bridal income is not my main income. As you guys probably know already, I have several other businesses that are keeping us, you know, going. So I'm able to just kind of pick and choose. And sometimes I don't do weddings and sometimes I do. And sometimes I just want to hang out at home. And sometimes I want to travel and do something crazy. So, you know, once you get to that level where you can kind of pick and choose and do your own thing, that's when you just really do whatever you want. But I think for now, what I used to do when I started was I would work on people's budgets. I would give people deals if I wanted to get their business, especially if they had a lot of female relatives that were unmarried. I would end up getting all of their business too. So I would gauge and see, okay, is this going to be worth it for me to do it for half the price? And if it was, then I would just go ahead and lower my rate for them and just do, you know, you have to hustle. You have to do what you have to do to get on top. And I did it, and it definitely pays off with enough determination and talent and people skills. So let's see if there's anything else. Makeup by Faima is saying, can we do this hairstyle for the bridesmaids or mother or sister of the bride the same way, or for them, will it be less formal or different steps? I've actually done the exact same thing on bridesmaids before. I've done it on mother of the brides before. It's the exact same steps. I usually don't change up my steps much between bridal and non-bridal when it comes to hair, but it's the styles that change. So bridal hair normally, like, once in a while I'll get this. This is my #1 request for those who want the romantic look. But most of my brides, knowing that they are, you know, wearing heavy veils, a lot of my brides are Indian brides or Pakistani brides where they wear heavy veils. I can't do this look. This isn't gonna hold, it's gonna smash. So I usually have to do something really heavy and I put stuffers. I do not really usually use stuffers on non-bridal, and it's very rare that I do non-bridal hair updos. Usually for my non-bridals, they want downdos. So it's the styles that differ more, but this particular style can be dressed up for bridal by putting little jewelries or decking out their face makeup. And then for non-bridal, you can dress it down by making it even more loose or leaving it exactly like this and simplifying the makeup. So good question, but yeah, it's for everybody. Mark Wakwa is asking another question. Will this hairstyle hold with the cathedral veil on top or no? How can you make it sit perfect without messing up the hairstyle? So cathedral veils are also known to be quite heavy because they have all that fabric behind them. So as they're not fully embroidered or anything like Indian veils, cathedral veils do have the weight dragging them behind. So in this case, I would put the cathedral veil right on the back of the actual bun piece right here rather than the top, because there is a risk on the top as they're walking that the veil is just gonna fly right off as they're walking if it gets caught somewhere. But if the veil is pinned in here, you have all these bobby pins and all these curls holding it up and making sure it doesn't move. So there is little to no risk when you're putting a veil back here. So that's where I would do it. Any other veil that's more lighter weight, you could do it wherever and nothing's gonna happen. It will be totally fine. Unless you trust your little junior bridesmaids or whoever's carrying your veil not to pull it, then maybe you might be okay risking it on top, but I wouldn't even risk it. I don't really risk a lot of things when it comes to my brides. Okay, I think we're done. Let's see, wait. Okay, so a final question. Easy Glam by Sam, how to sanitize everything, and also what do you recommend schooling wise for people who want to focus on makeup but only want to learn updos and styling? So schooling wise, for California, when you go to cosmetology school, the main part of cosmetology school is not updos and styling, and it's not makeup, it's actually coloring and cutting hair and wet sets and things like that, and a good section on nails and skin. So I wouldn't really recommend going to cosmetology school if all you want to do is hair styling and makeup. You actually don't even need to be state board licensed for that in California at this time, because there's no chemicals services being done, there's no cutting and removal of hair or anything like that. So you don't need to be an esthetician either. You just need to be super sanitary, you need to pay your taxes, you need to have a business license and establishment license if you're in a different place. So check with your city about those kind of things. But as far as schooling is concerned, you actually do not need to go to school for this. If you have the talent already and you're learning online with me, you're gonna be fine as long as you're good at it and you're actually learning from these classes. If you want to go to school, I would suggest going to a makeup school rather than a cosmetology school. And there's plenty of makeup schools here in LA that are awesome. I have my makeup academy, DYF Academy. You can follow that page for updates on dates. Most of my students fly in from all over the world to come in and get DYF certified. The certificate basically helps you get brand discounts so that you can fill up your kit with really good stuff and not have to spend as much. And it also gives you validation in the bridal world. A lot of brides literally text me every day saying, hey, do you have a DYF certified person in Wisconsin? Do you have a DYF certified person in the UK? Do you have DYF certified in blah, 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 like all over. And so what I did was I created the DYF Academy page so that my clients can find people there, because the only people that I'm following on the Academy page are those who have been certified by me. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. And you don't really need a certificate for anything, but if you want to get discounts and stuff, a lot of companies will accept certification as your ticket to a discount, and business cards and things like that, and it really does help. And as far as like makeup schools are concerned, you don't want to just go in and get a BS training, not bachelor's of science. I mean, BS isn't bullshit training, okay? So a lot of, I went to school, I did cosmetology school because I also wanted to cut and color hair, and I don't regret it. I still have my license, it's still up to date. So that's fine, but I went to makeup school as well because I felt like I didn't learn anything about makeup in cosmetology school. So I went to makeup school, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about the makeup school. The makeup school did exactly what it promised. It taught me the things that I wanted to learn. I got my kit, I got my 3 certificates, and I was out of there. But the styles that were taught were not the styles that my Indian brides were requesting. And they were not the type of styles that were pushing me to the next level. It was pretty basic. So I felt like I wasn't getting very advanced training. I felt like it was such a big group, and I didn't have a lot of one-on-one time with my professor or instructor. So those were the drawbacks, and that's why I decided to start training people in a very intimate classroom style at the DYF Academy. Before that, I was doing it at home, one-on-one. I have my online classes, and I like to explain things in major detail, and I like to do looks that you guys are requesting. I don't want to just teach you what I want to teach you. I'm teaching you stuff that you're actually asking for because I feel like that's more meaningful and it's actually going to help your career. And for me, like, I'm gonna be a mom now soon, inshallah, but like even before that, like I already felt like a mother because I have all of you guys that are relying on me for quality education. I feel like you're my babies, and when I see that you guys are doing better and I see that you guys are learning and really appreciating my work and understanding my teachings, and you're doing it on your clients or on yourselves even. I have so many of you that are only learning for yourselves, and you tag me in your post and you're like, look, I recreated this on a DYFL class, and how did I do? And I'm seeing it and I'm loving it because I think that you guys are actually really, really doing a lot better than I could have ever imagined just from an online teaching perspective. And it makes me feel good because I know that I'm teaching you the right way, and I'm not, skipping out on any little secret techniques. I'm showing you everything. So find yourself an instructor that does not hide any secrets. Find yourself someone who you can really absorb information from and no BS. It's real deal stuff, real world stuff, so that when you are ready to go out into the real world and do all those things, that you aren't having to waste so much time with trial and error. You kind of already know the secrets, and you can get out there and just start making money and being your own boss and being successful. So, schooling is just one of those things where you have to really figure out who's teaching you, because it's not really about the school to me, it's more about who is teaching you. So that's my opinion on that. So on that note, we're gonna end this class. I hope you guys enjoyed this entire look and the Q&As that we were doing throughout the entire class, which really helped out. And I'll see you soon for the next one. Always check the homepage on dressyourfacelive.com to figure out what are the upcoming classes. And sometimes I give you surprises and I bring back old classes on the available to watch now, so you guys can get surprised and find like some other classes that you can watch. But my biggest advice for those of you who are new here are to watch the classes that are expiring first. Watch them now, because you want to make sure that you're getting all that information before those classes disappear. Because I don't usually bring back classes right away. I bring back the older classes first, so that like the new members can at least get a taste of how things were last year or whatever, and then we recycle the classes as bonuses sometimes. So watch the ones that expire first, okay? I will talk to you guys later, and if you guys have any suggestions on class topics, please also suggest them on my latest post on Instagram so I can see it and I can add it to the calendar. Have a good night, sweet dreams, and I'll catch you in the rerun. Bye.